Are you guys ready?
I'm ready.
You're ready to do the new episode of the Memo podcast?
Yes.
That's what one of the guys sounds like of the videos I would watch when it's like, how to edit your podcast.
That's badly an Egal thing.
What, that voice?
Yeah.
Shout out Igor. What's it called? I had something I wanted to ask you guys off the top, and it really slipped my mind.
Chance.
I really had one chance. If
you
you had
blew it.
anything, maybe it'll come back to me so that I can redeem
I'm
myself.
supposed to say something that might remind
What,
you.
do you
of
never
what
have
you
a...
were gonna
Oh,
say?
I remember what it was.
I'm happy to help.
Thank you. This is just like a random question I was thinking of on the way. It might have been because, well, I'm sure you could put it together.
Yeah, I already know.
Yeah. Say you were a boss at a job and you're interviewing people. Guy comes in, t-shirt and sweats, blows the interview away. Excellent candidate.
Interesting.
Next guy comes in. He's good, but, you know, he's not the last guy, but he's in a suit. Who are you hiring?
Interesting.
It depends. It all depends. It depends.
I don't know if you even interview the guy in the beginning if he's not wearing a suit. If he's in sweats and a
No.
t-shirt,
No.
you don't
If
interview him.
if somebody sets up a time to interview, and he shows up wearing whatever, I'm gonna interview him just to see what he's got.
I don't think
If
so.
it's, you gotta give the guy a shot. You gave the guy, you offer people interviews. You know, like you make cuts before then. So he already passed the test to show up.
Is he rubbing it in your face?
Hey, you got to see how tasteful it is. If he shows up and he blows it away and it seems purposeful, then I'll give the guy a job. Fuck yeah.
See? It's difficult, right? I think I'm giving him the job. The reason I was thinking
Might
of
be
I
it,
feel
passing
like
up
he
on
just
Steve
wouldn't
Jobs.
even get the. I feel like you wouldn't give him the time of day.
do you think you wouldn't as yourself? Would you give that guy the time of
100%
day?
would.
I'd probably not interview him. I'd think it was an insult. It was
if
an
you're-
intentional slap in the face.
Then
Then what's the reason?
that you think it's something against you? That's
No, it's
super
just
egotistical.
disrespectful. It's just like, oh, fuck you. I'm gonna wear sweatpants to this serious job
No,
interview because I don't
But what-
respect you as a man.
That's very egotistical to think that it's about
He's
you.
being egotistical.
Yeah, okay. So that's confidence if it's
I don't
about
want
him.
egos in my company.
What if it's a
Anyway.
statement?
What's the statement? I don't give
It's
a
like
fuck about
if
you.
you
Listen to
know,
me. You're not
I'll let
wasting any time because if you're hiring people the right way, you sectioned off this 30 minutes or an hour for this person. So the time is wasted anyway. You know, you scheduled for it. You planned for that being a cost. Interview the guy. See what he's got. See why he showed up like. Then if he is anything less than a 9.99 out of 10, then fuck him.
yeah,
But
exactly.
if he knocks it out of the park, then I'm hiring that guy for sure.
I like it. That's what I think. I'm going with the guy in the sweats.
It's disrespectful.
But what if it's just like
What's disrespect?
I
Like
think it's
who-
just showing a lack of a lack of respect and like appreciation for the job.
The focus is on him.
Yeah,
It's
he looks
it's
like
all-
a fucking
it's-
hobo.
It's all about him, but you're making about it yourself.
he's not
You're
like
saying it's
gross and
disrespect.
Slap
ugly.
in the
He's just
face.
wearing like a normal t-shirt, normal sweatpants, not like gross
Does
stuff.
he look like you?
No, he's not wearing Gryffindor. Like
Okay,
plain,
'cause I was
like
gonna
more
say.
like a Alex t-shirt. But like,
What's the Pelicans?
you don't like the Pelicans?
Is there a
Well,
reason behind it?
maybe we have to switch the subject now. You don't like Alex?
Are you asking the guy in corduroys why corduroys?
No, because that's business casual. It's nice. It's professional.
Don't make it about yourself.
I'm not running a sweatshop. I want
about the
people who
candidate.
actually care.
Doesn't your job have a pretty lenient dress code? The one you work
Yeah,
at now.
Matt wears sweatpants.
Yeah, I
to work every
literally
day.
wear sweatpants and t-shirts to my job quite often.
So if you
but
don't
I did wear a suit when I got interviewed.
see that, the reason I was thinking of this is because
Try
like
hard.
You
I
present
get
yourself. You present yourself in a positive light.
maybe they're
Why'd
positive
you
light.
ask?
What's not positive about this
I was
outfit?
thinking.
If you had sweatpants on, it'd be different. You look good, I guess. But I mean, like, if you're into that, but I don't. You would have to wear jeans. I mean,
These are jeans.
Like, if this guy could
No,
come
man.
into your company
If
and
he's
rip sales,
easily the best person,
it's
you
just indicative
interviewed.
of your character.
If this guy can come
What's
in your
wrong
company,
with what's
The
what's
character
wrong with
guy.
going against the grain though? That's something I'm
Because
looking
you're
for.
going against the grain just for the sake of going against the grain. Why can't you put a suit on?
because he's
'Cause
stupid.
That's just going with the trend.
Because you look professional, and if I'm hiring you
Who
for my
decided
business,
that? Honestly, that's
Everybo-
why.
ev-
clean,
everybody,
you're nice and
everybody,
put together, and you look like
everybody
you're a
who's
man.
who's making these leaps and bounds in business, like, do you think Jeff Bezos did go against the grain? Of course he did.
But he didn't go on a job interview in his sweatpants. He built his own company from the ground up.
Yeah, I bet he
That
didn't.
gives him
I,
the right to wear whatever the fuck he wants.
So
I
you're
bet he
telling
didn't
me
go on many interviews.
Right. But if he did, I bet you
So
he would
what's
wear a
what's
suit.
worse, not going to any interviews or going to the interview, but just wearing something less than your standard? What's more
don't-
egotistical?
He didn't have to go on interviews because he was in the middle of making Amazon.
All right, so the guy you're interviewing could be the next Jeff Bezos, and
Yeah,
he's
and
saying,
he's interviewing to
"I'm not
cold call with me.
"Come on,
what I was trying to say was, if you
100%."
think this
I
guy
get
can
that
come
guy a
in
job.
and rip more
he
sales
knocks
than
it out of
any
the
employee
park?
you have, you're gonna knock him off your list because he chose some different clothes than what is just societally decided the right thing to wear at work.
Yes,
No chance.
because I wouldn't even interview
But
him
you
to
don't even
know.
think that you should. I'm sure you do not
What
want
if
to wear
he-
that
what
at
if
work.
he's
And
the-
if you were
what if
running a
he's the
No,
company,
you
most-
don't have to wear it to the job every day. Like I said, I wear shorts, I wear slippers, I wear hats. Like it doesn't
So
matter
don't you
once
wanna
you already have the
see
job.
how that person would be
Once you
in
fool
the
them
job.
into thinking that you're a real adult, then you can wear pajamas to work.
So you're just gonna willfully be fooled by people.
Yeah,
That's
I
what you're
like
saying.
to. I want to be convinced. I want to be wrongfully convinced that you are a man of character before I
Interesting.
invite you into my company.
All
Why'd
right.
you ask this? Where's this coming from?
Because I was thinking about. I
Did
was
you
like,
do this?
I did do this. I had a few interviews.
Yeah.
So
Just
I was
come
just
from one?
thinking,
Good.
why, who decides that we have to wear suits and make it a thing? I was like, why is? I get why it's a thing. I understand
get-
looking nice,
You
whatever.
just want to
Looking-
look nice.
looking
That's
presentable.
what it is.
I get it, but I also it's just like, who's in like why is everyone going along with it?
Because it's like a nice standard, you know.
I get
It's
it.
like, all right,
It's just funny
I'm
that
not,
it's.
I'm not messing up all the basics. So then at that point, maybe they'll give me a break for something I'm doing wrong.
Yeah,
during
I
the
get it.
interview. But the
I get
interviews,
why
it
it's a
shouldn't
thing.
matter.
Like I think wearing suits are fresh, but
I do
it's just
too.
funny that everyone who runs their own business like goes along with it, and I'm sure nobody.
You can also
not everyone,
you can also
obviously.
show up looking overdressed. Like that's a thing.
That is true.
Yes. And I did that the first day of work. Once I got the job, I wore
Oh,
a
you wore
suit.
peacock feathers?
I was in a leotard and a tutu. And it went south. No, I wore a suit the first day on the job once I actually got it. And then I walked in and saw everybody who now dresses like how I dress, which is like complete disgusting animal. and I was in a suit and it was so embarrassing. I almost quit that day.
Well,
But no. So the
That's
thing
like
is, so
such
like,
a-
and what you said, it's to make it so that if you don't kill the interview, at least it's not like a deciding factor. You know, it's like
Right,
when you're
yeah.
on the fence, they're not going to be
Yeah.
like, he wore fucking sweatpants. What are we
Yeah.
even doing? Like if you wear sweatpants and a t-shirt, you better kill that interview.
But we're
Like,
But
you
we're,
have to
we're
do
that's the
assuming
scenario.
that, we're
The
assuming
scenario
that
is
does.
he is the obvious. If he wore the suit, there would be no question. But he didn't wear the suit. He came in sweatpants because he's a don.
Then I probably wouldn't even interview him, and I wouldn't know if he killed it or not.
All right.
Isn't that not a good thing?
That's yeah.
All right.
So when he starts
You
sweatpants
just-
only next door and puts you out of business, what are you gonna do? All right, I'm happy I got
Interesting.
I'm happy you guys were in on that
Yeah,
one.
it's good.
All right.
That's dumb.
So you guys don't have any
You guys
off the
want to run a
tops?
fucking gym at your
I come
company.
in
It's gonna
every
be the
week with the
best
off the
fucking
tops,
gym in
and
the
I
country.
think it's time for you guys to start topping me off too.
Whoa! You want me to what?
You like that?
Pause.
Wait.
Set that one up
You haven't done this before.
every week.
This is the first time.
No, I come in with some off the tops.
Yeah, you did
Surprises.
one last week.
I did. I forgot what it was, but I remember doing it.
Yeah, because my brain is fried.
It was
Yeah.
about the Astros.
I don't remember
so it's
what we just
typically
talked
sports
about.
related.
All right. At least we can form cohesive thoughts.
Okay.
Me and Richard.
That's what you get when you sit in the middle.
Go interview for Berkshire Hathaway in sweatpants. See what happens to you.
Warren
See
Buffett
if you don't
would
get
love it.
thrown out the fucking window.
Warren Buffett is like the king of that.
You think he'd let you interview?
I wouldn't be.
You
interviewing with
exactly.
him.
So then that's beside the point. What
They send you into him.
Is
Your
Berkshire
not even-
Hathaway.
it's like the first round.
Did you just throw up?
Yeah. It's
Berkshire Hathaway is not the only successful company in the
It
country.
was an example. Obviously, you're going to rattle off a million companies. They just pick
what are you
one.
going to interview with Apple, Google?
But it just makes your argument flawed.
No, it's an example of a respectable company, and if you showed up to Berkshire Hathaway in sweatpants, the security guard would probably have you arrested.
They'd definitely be like, keep an eye on this guy. Like,
Yeah, he's got something in his pocket.
Yeah. Definitely.
Whatever.
Welcome to the Memo. We're here. We're back. We've got a lot on our plate today.
We do.
We've got a classic episode for you guys. It's a little bit of a throwback to the OG days. We're going to do some stamp shreds. The fan
Don't we
favorite.
do some stamp shreds? Don't we do them every week?
Yes, but I'm saying this is a throwback because it's the original format of what we used to do. It's the stamp shreds into a scrap heap into predictions.
It's the standard Memo episode.
Yes, but
Okay.
it's a throwback because
Yeah, we haven't done it in a while.
yeah,
All right. Well, and we'd have the old mics too.
yeah.
I know our audience is really picking up on our mic quality.
So just an update on the standings, following up from last week. Alex had a big week, 4-0 on the board, as he slugs a can of 12.5% alcohol.
I'm drunk after 3.
4-0. He's sitting in atop the standings at 18-10. Richard and I both went 2-2, meaning that we have not picked up any ground on each other or on Alex. Alex separated himself. Richard's 15-13. I'm still 500, 14-14. And it's getting scary for me. I think I'm going to have to start looking at hair dyes and figuring out what
Definitely.
my
Maybe
new
your
look's going
company
to be.
shouldn't let you in the door when you show up with blonde hair.
What do you
I'm
think?
putting my job on the line in this season.
Are you going to wear a hat? Are you allowed to wear a hat?
Yeah. I can wear a fucking ski mask if I want to.
So they're really lenient there.
Shit.
Why
They
don't you
literally don't. Dude, I could wear a Speedo.
a Speedo?
That maybe not.
Obviously could wear a Speedo. One, you don't have the figure. Two.
It'd be very distracting.
Yeah, I don't know if
I can
I
wear
mean-
I've worn shorts that are like, the little chubbies. Alex is a big
like the
chubby
soccer
guy.
shorts.
Yeah, but like,
I'm not a big chubby guy.
yeah, you know about the European bathing suits.
I
I've
don't
seen
own
you
a
in the
in the
summer.
bathing
pair of
suits.
I've
chubbies.
seen you in the
Ooh.
summers.
Melo's hit a
Yeah.
3.
Not to work.
He has 10.
I know that's what I'm saying though. You like chubbies
I
at the
just think you
beach.
should
I wear them
fire
to work.
anybody that doesn't show up in a full suit.
Okay, I agree with you.
Kidding.
What's
So
it called?
That's an update on the standings.
Before we get into everything, why don't you rattle off a little list of what we're going to get into, just so anyone tuning in has an idea.
Yeah, full list.
Just like the teams we're touching on.
All right, well, we're going to get into a little stamp shred. A lot of talk about the Astros, obviously big topic so far. We're going to discuss a little bit about the Los Angeles Chargers. The
I
future there.
heard that.
I almost said San Diego. I really almost, that was close. Dive into the Cleveland Browns, a lot circulating around them right now. They're been training their team for the MMA, I think that I was reading. They're just going to start fighting everybody on the field.
WWE, I think.
WWE, that's what it was, right? So those are some teams. We've got some scrap heaps, which we're going to keep under wraps for now.
Mine is a secret amongst us hosts, but I
Yeah.
guess we're keeping it all a secret till we get there.
Richard, he claims that he doesn't tell us the scraps anymore. I think you don't come up with them until the minute before
I
he
have it.
starts.
I've had it in my head since earlier today.
Okay, sure. We'll see about that.
All right.
And then we're going to do our game picks, which there's a lot of good games on the schedule this week, NFL Week 12.
One of the better weeks.
Yeah, so we actually had to trim some of these games that we would like to talk about. They just couldn't make the cut. Sorry, Carson Wentz. But let's dive into it. That's all.
All right.
That's all I got for you.
That
right
was a
now.
nice list. Thank you. We're going to make that your weekly job. You're the list man.
Okay, I'll be the overview guy.
Yeah, some people, before they get into it, they like to hear what they're hearing, And they could be like, I don't want to fucking
Well,
listen
we're
to
like
that.
20 minutes into the show at this point.
Well,
Well, it was
You
an,
know?
an engaging debate.
yeah.
So
All right.
we're fine.
So we'll let's jump into some
we know
stamp
you're
shreds.
still listening.
We'll start off with some stamp shreds. I go into what we started off last week with the Houston Astros. Some more information has came out since we recorded last week. A lot more incriminating information. So our first stamp shred of the week will be the Houston Astros should be stripped of the 2017 World Series title. Where do we go from here?
I'll start this off. 100%. I don't think there's any fair punishment without this happening. Like, you can ban the key players who were involved. Like, you can ban Carlos Beltran for life. You can ban AJ Hinch for life. You can ban whoever, for Alex Cora, whatever role they played in implementing this process.
That sounds so great as a Yankees fan.
Yeah.
Astros, Red Sox, Mets managers. That's just,
That-
it's
and
a Yankees dream
that's
come
a-
true.
That's another topic, is the Mets just somehow being roped into this.
It's ridiculous. It's so fucking.
Just like minding their own business, hire car. But like,
Does it bother you that he's your manager now? Like,
yes, it does, because they had to know about this.
They must have.
Or-
Apparently, everybody knew about it.
Yeah, apparently everybody knew about it, and like, if you didn't, that just means you don't have like your finger on the pulse of
Yeah.
the league.
It's bad either way.
Yeah. So,
But
like,
at- not even-
I don't expect him to be the manager come opening day.
Interesting.
But, and like, if he is, that's something very interesting that I'm sure we'll get into in later episodes, but not right now. But yeah, they blatantly cheated to win this World Series. Like, many examples, and like, pieces of evidence. Should I stop? Shut up. Many pieces of evidence have come out that are like not even under wraps. Like, didn't take much to uncover. Like, stuff on live television, stuff in the Astros like championship DVD that they sold to people. Like, that's where the evidence was. It was very out in the open. It's just now it has some attention pointed to it, and it's just very obvious that they cheated their way to a World Series title in 2017. So, like, the only thing you can do here is take that championship away from them. You can draw comparisons to other teams that have like slightly, I don't know, like bent the rules to their own liking, like the Patriots with the deflated balls and stuff. But like, I don't think it's it's apples to oranges there. Like, that's not something you can really compare. Like, this is blatant cheating in like literally every single pitch of the ball game, between like the banging on the garbage cans and maybe even like something that these players are wearing that would vibrate when it's like once when it's a fastball, multiple times when it's a breaking ball. Like, anybody that's ever played baseball knows like that is just a major advantage you have. Like, if I had that in high school, not to like toot my own horn, but like, if I had that kind of thing in high school, like, I would have just fucking raked.
Yeah, and I agree with you with everything you said. I think that it's an absolute bare minimum to strip the title. Like, that should be a given.
Agreed.
That has to happen. Everything else, there needs to be more that happens onto that, because, like you said, or I don't know, I mean, I'm not sure if you mentioned this earlier in the day, but if you take the title away, like, if that happens, all of the players, all the managers, they're probably just like, a sigh of relief, like, oh, like, they took our title away. They still celebrated it. They experienced it for 2 years. They had the parade. They had all the parties. That wouldn't really matter. It would hurt, the record books and everything like that, but it wouldn't. It would seem like they got off easy, honestly, if you just took the title away. Because at this point now, everybody already will think that it was a fake championship regardless, or a tainted championship. So on top of that, I want to see suspensions, GMs, managers. Alex Cora, I think he should never be allowed to step inside a baseball stadium again. He was the hitting coach for the Astros, right? At the time?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I think he was the hitting coach.
Fact check.
I think, to check on that for me. I don't think he was the pitching coach. But everybody who was involved from that, the managers, the coaches, the GM, just it blows my mind that somebody would actually bring this whole idea to the table and like pitch it as this is something we should do. They're the best. They had the best roster in the game. They tanked for like 5 years to get these players, and they were all fantastic players. Like you said, Altuve, Bregman, Correa. Nobody doubts that these guys are actually legit players. Like, they're great. But now, and you're going to take that, what you have, and just implement this entire system of fraud and cheating and vibrating on the wristbands of what kind of pit. It just is so pathetic, and you have to make a punishment that you can make sure that it never happens again. So the title, I'm going to stamp that, take the title away. But Manfred needs to do a lot more on top of that to satisfy me personally.
I agree that I'm going to stamp it as well. They should take it away. After I heard when you guys sent the picture of the thing in the wristbands, the vibrating, like unbelievable.
Unreal, dude.
Like, they really went all out with this. And yeah, I'm sure when a ball's coming at you 90 miles per hour and above, it's way easier if you know what it's going to be. So it's just, I don't know how, it sucks for the fans too, because they're affected by it now.
Yeah, the whole element of surprise with pitching, is when you think it's a fastball and then it drops at the last second. Like it's a breaking ball or a slider or something, or it's a changeup. It catches you off guard. If you can anticipate that coming in, you're going to be right on it every time. And that's why everybody had such high averages. They rarely struck out. Always like runners in scoring position, they get a timely hit. It just is so, it's
as
disgusting.
somebody that played baseball like to like a moderately high level, like in high school, like varsity baseball, even if it's as simple as like
3-year varsity player here, big guy.
Hey, even if it's as simple as 1 buzz fastball, 2 buzz, like anything else, that is so helpful for a hitter. Like just knowing that this isn't gonna be a fastball, because like all baseball players, all hitters are just like, is this gonna be a fastball or is it not?
Yeah, because you're just gonna swing at the fastball because it's right.
Everybody's looking dead red. Like everybody wants to hit a fastball. Like any hitter is that. This is crazy. This is the craziest thing that happened in sports in recent memory for me.
Yes.
And this is like including a year that like Antonio Brown went from the best wide receiver in football to jobless. And we've been on this podcast, I think, saying like this is the craziest thing to happen in sports, and then just like 2019, like it one-upped by
the Astros with
the
hold
Astros
my
blatantly
beer.
cheating, and like, oh my God, like
it's gonna get worse too. There's more to the story.
yeah, like it just keeps on like even this year, like the Astros, it was just from top to bottom, their lineup was just raking, and it's just like, whoa, they really don't have really.
Were they doing it this year too, or just the 1 year?
That's the thing. I don't know if it's known yet.
Yeah, like
know.
who even knows? But this I'm suspicious about this year because everybody on this team was just hitting. Everybody. Like,
that's the thing. You don't know if they're actually good players or if they're getting help from wristbands on their fucking arms.
It's insane. And
Altuve, when he hit that home run off Chapman, was he expecting it? He hung it a little bit. It was a bad pitch, but the guy teed off on it right away. Game over. They're in the World Series.
this is crazy.
It's fucked up.
It's it's got
trying
to be the biggest cheating scandal in sports.
I'm trying to compare it to like another sport, and I don't know what it would be like.
There's nothing. Maybe like
if you just, it's like in the NFL. If you just know the play that's coming, like you know what routes they're running, and you can just pick them off every single play.
Yeah.
You know if they're running or passing. It's like an absurd advantage.
Yeah, you're not supposed to know what the other person's doing.
That's the whole point of the game, is to just try to like
maybe
get the other person and then catch them off guard.
Technical difficulties. We are just moving along, very smooth, very nice. We were in the middle of still talking about the Astros, right?
Yeah, I think so. It was like 8
Yeah,
hours
I was
ago
saying
now.
that I agree that they should all be executed. No, yeah, they should have the title vacated. I don't know if I don't know everyone's involvement. I'm not that knowledgeable in the situation, so I can't be like Beltran should be banned and Cargo Margo should be whatever. But hey, if it was really that big of an operation and like they put that much thought into it and really planned it out, then ban him. Fuck him. Get him out of there. It's a disgrace to the sports world. I mean,
I do think it's important to identify who like started this initiative, like who put it in place, like who got everyone on board. I think that's important, but like the ramifications need to be widespread.
what I was trying to ask before, besides even being upset that the Mets should have knew about it, are you upset if he staged the manager just knowing that he did it? Just like fucking cheated?
No.
All right.
If the MLB decides not to
Okay.
punish
Good
him
point.
for it, then like, and he was the best candidate for the job,
Just be funny if
then
the Mets
sure,
start
but
hitting homers.
but what needs to be considered is like part of the reason Beltran was such a good candidate is because of this cheating scandal, and like he was a part of such a good organization that cheated.
So now his
So, like,
credentials.
Right. So like exactly. His credentials are like a little bit skewed. Considering that, and if he's still the best, like, I can see this going wrong. One, because it's the Mets. Two, because I didn't agree with them firing Mickey Callaway in the first place. Three. What are you gonna call me out for
No.
not?
I'm asking you a question. Why didn't you think they should fire Mickey Callaway?
Because I think they should have fired Mickey Callaway if they knew they were going to get somebody more experienced than him. Because I think his biggest flaw was that he wasn't an experienced manager. And from his first year to his second year, I think he got a lot better.
Yeah, he
And-
didn't submit incorrect lineups in the second year.
Yeah, that. And, like, if you were going to fire Mickey Callaway and go out and get a Joe Madden or a Joe Girardi, then sure, by all means, fire Mickey Callaway. But if you're going to go out and if you're going to fire Mickey Callaway and go out and get somebody who's just as inexperienced, you hire Beltran, he's less experienced, you're just, like, kind of running in place here.
Yeah, but it's different because I get what you're saying, but I think there's more to it than just experience or inexperience. Like, there's a way to like get the players on board and control the clubhouse and actually call a game.
That was the best part of Mickey Callaway's tenure is he was able to get the players to play really hard for 162 games. And like you saw it with what Pete Alonso was saying to the media all year, like we still believe we're going to fight until we're mathematically eliminated. And they had they finished 10 games over 500 with having to play the Nationals and the Braves more than any other team in the league. They had a fairly successful season, and I think if you keep Mickey Callaway another year of growth, like maybe you would see him like blossom into the manager you saw when you hired him. Now you hire Carlos Beltran, who's never done it before, and on top of it, he has this cheating scandal.
Well, yeah,
like, how much was that playing into his success?
Obviously,
Now the Mets kind of look stupid for what they did.
obviously now it's a little different knowing that. I thought at the time when Beltran was hired that it was going to be a good move because there's something, obviously he has never managed before, but he would easily, in my opinion, get the respect of the clubhouse just because he is who he is. Carlos
Yeah.
Beltran, he's a great baseball mind. This is all now with a caveat because who knows how long he's been doing this or how different his mindset is in terms of cheating. But going into it, the reason that he was hired is because he is a great baseball mind and he's been around the game for so long. He obviously would be able to have the respect of the players, can relate to the players. He had just been there in the clubhouse, like one of them, speaking to a lot of like what these guys are going through and just being able to relate to them, which I think is important. I don't know specifically how much of an issue or what exactly went wrong with Callaway. I think most of it was probably that it wasn't the guy Brody Van Wagenen hired. So that's kind of just like the whole thing when you have a GM who doesn't get to pick his own coach, that coach that is there is going to be on a short leash because you know the GM wants to have his own guy. And same thing goes with the Jets, how we've seen when they, GM fired, keep the coach, coach fired, keep the GM, like that whole thing. You want your GM to bring in your own manager. So in that regard, I think that bringing in Beltran, a guy that is on the same page with the GM, with the owner, who was going to be able to relate to the players, I think it was a good move at the time. But, I mean, you would know more about Mickey Callaway and what he's been doing, but I never thought that he did anything to make him, deserve to really stick around.
So I can speak to that.
Me either.
The biggest problem with Mickey Callaway is he would make just – it seemed like the inexperience was a big part of his shortcomings. He would pull pitchers who were dealing a little bit too early and just very tactical mistakes, like things that the fans could pick up on. Like, why are you pitch hitting for this hitter here? Or why is Alonso sitting today? He just hit 2 home runs yesterday. It seemed like an inexperienced thing, and also I don't know how much merit there is to this, but supposedly Van Wagenen was very much in his ear, was a big time micromanager of Callaway's duties, and I don't know, if inexperience is your only issue, then he has 2 years under his belt, give him another shot. And if you're going to fire him, at least make sure that you bring somebody experienced on board. But if your solution is Carlos Beltran, then I'm just assuming that in Carlos Beltran's first year as Mets manager, he's going to go through the stuff that every first-year manager does, which is inexperience. I've never done this before. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to work through these growing pains. And it's all right, Met fans, another year where you have to say next year. Maybe next year he'll be better. And maybe they'll go 500 and that'll be good enough to appease Met fans for now. And then it's all right, next year. And then you bring him back for another year and then Van Wagenen gets fired and it's holy shit, when is this fucking cycle going to end? When are we just going to be good? So in that case, you guys know we talk every day. I'm not a big fan of Callaway, but I said from the beginning, if we're going to fire Callaway, we need to bring somebody in who solves the issue of this inexperience. And we didn't do that. So I'm just well, what are we doing? And then we have this whole cheating scandal on top of it. And it's just fuck. Being a Mets fan sucks.
No, I agree with what you're saying. I think it has more to do. The thing is too, because you said with Brody Van Wagenen, kind of micromanaging Callaway and always being in his ear, and that I think that's just what baseball is these days with the analytics and everything. And
agreed.
The Mets are not going to be a team that's going to go spend $5 million a year for Joe Madden when they can bring in a guy he's got a big name. He's Carlos Beltran, but he's also a first-year manager who's not going to be too expensive. He said he wanted to coach in New York, so it kind of fell into their lap. It was a way for them to appease the fan base, honestly, just bringing in somebody who has the recognition and the resume is a dirty fucking cheater, and then they're able to.
And let's be honest,
bring it back and.
Let's be honest. Beltran strong-armed the Mets into this position. He had interviews lined up with other teams, and he said, I only want to manage for the Mets. And the Mets were all right, we'll hire you then.
Yeah, sure. If that's the case, then you're in.
So like,
I think he would be a good manager. That's the thing. That's
if
my
he
point.
ever
Like
gets
that-
if he ever gets to interact with a major league baseball team again,
that's a
yeah.
that's a big part of this. But I thought
And a-
going in,
and a
I
big
thought it
part
was
of
a good
his-
signing. I said that.
Me too, and a big part of it, like I spoke about this before this whole cheating scandal came out. I said a big part of Beltran's resume was the fact that he was a part of the Astros organization. He was a part of the Yankees organization. Supposedly he was the runner-up to Boone for the Yankees
Really?
managerial position. Yeah, and one of the big.
Wasn't he still playing?
It was like the year after he stopped.
Okay.
It was
Right. They cheated in 2017, and then they hired Boone in 2018. Okay.
right, exactly.
Nice.
But one of the big like lines on his resume was that the Astros were really good at picking up pitchers, tipping pitches. And like I thought that was the coolest thing. I was like, wow, like somebody who's really good at like identifying the pitch before it goes to the plate. Like how incredible is that? And then like we hire him. I'm like, wow, like our hitters are gonna be set. Like imagine Alonso like just knowing what the pitch is gonna be before it gets to the plate. And it just comes out that he just had like a monitor set up in the clubhouse.
So like, was someone watching, like hiding somewhere?
So there was a camera set up in center field that would, like the camera would submit the footage to this monitor that was in the clubhouse. And there were these two guys in the clubhouse just watching this monitor. And when it was a off-speed pitch or a change-up specifically, I think it was, they'd bang the garbage can.
And those videos that you hear of like.
Yeah,
So what was the point of the buzzing bandages?
that might have just like it might have just been like a safeguard for it. Like first thing is these buzzing bandages, like it buzz, and like the buzzing bandages honestly is kind of just speculation at this point. Like the video and the banging, there's hard evidence for
Okay.
that. Like that's there. That 100% happened. The buzzing bandages is just speculation, but like that's even better. Like if you can just press a button and it buzzes the batter's fucking arm sleeve, and it's like one buzz for a fastball, two for an off-speed pitch, then that's even better. But what was definitely happening was that there was a camera set up in center field. The camera would get footage of whatever the catcher's call was. Whoever was watching the footage of that camera would bang the garbage can if it was an off-speed pitch. And then if the batter hears the bang, then
They know
you
what's
know.
coming.
Right.
It's crazy.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane.
All right. Should we move on to our next stamp shred? Very long one. There was some hardships in between, but we made it through. I know you don't really want to get into this one, but the next stamp shred. This season should be Phillip Rivers last in a Chargers uniform. Last in a Chargers uniform or last in the NFL?
I think that they're
same
one
thing
and the
either
same.
way.
This breaks my heart to have to talk about because last season, Phillip Rivers was an MVP finalist. He had a great year. They went 12-4. They made the playoffs. They won a playoff game. Everything looked great. You bring the same team back next year. Hopefully you don't play the Patriots in the playoffs and you win a Super Bowl. That was the dream. But now, all of a sudden, this guy can't get out of his own way. They've lost a lot of bad games this year to teams that they probably should have beaten. Most of it wasn't because of Phillip Rivers. But these past two games, they played the Raiders and the Chiefs, games that they could have won, that they honestly should have won, but Phillip Rivers threw 7 interceptions in 2 games against 2 division rivals in must-win moments. And now the season is shot, and it largely rests on Phillip Rivers' shoulders. So where do you go from here? I'm going to shred this. I don't think that this – see, it's not a matter of if we think it will be or what it won't be. It's if it should be. And I'm still going to shred it. I don't think that this should be his last year. I don't think it will be. I feel like most of the problems that they're having on offense aren't because of him. He hasn't helped the situation at all, but if you bring back a better offensive line, give him 1 year on a contract, draft a quarterback. I'm all for drafting a quarterback. And just let him, let him start the season. If it goes wrong, bring in the rookie, then you do the full rebuild if it goes wrong. But you have to build the team around him better, an offensive line most importantly, because they're still in win now mode with the roster that they have. They're a good team and they can win games. You just have to give the quarterback time to throw the ball. So I don't think that this should be his last year. I want to see what they can do next season with a healthy, complete roster and then go from there.
He doesn't have another year left on his deal? No? Okay. So I am also going to shred it because I think best course of action for them would be to draft a quarterback, but to bring him back another year because of what you just said, that they do have talent on the roster, and maybe they're not the most talented roster, but like they have talent in important positions, cornerback, edge rusher, and maybe Rivers is done, but I think, like you said, you shore up the O-line, you hope that maybe he has a little something left in him while you have this rookie that you don't have to just throw into the fire. You can have him develop for a year behind Rivers and maybe try and let him go out with a bang, and if he can't, then you bring the rookie in for the rest of the year. I don't think he's at a point like Eli has been for years with the Giants now, and they finally just moved on from him. I still think he's better than that. So I think maybe they can. And they do have better weapons than the Giants have had. So I think you bring him back. I don't think it should be his last year.
I mean,
they have great weapons. Gordon, Eckler, Henry, Keenan.
well, they won't have.
Williams.
They probably won't have
Ridiculous.
Gordon
No,
going forward.
They won't. Justin Jackson better.
Okay. So the statement is, this should be Phillip Rivers' last season in a Chargers uniform. I'm going to shred it too, but Phillip Rivers is done. That's my stance on this. Phillip Rivers is done. They've given the guy, look.
It hurts.
I've been very vocal about. I like Phillip Rivers a lot. Like, I think he should be a Hall of Famer. I think he is a good enough quarterback to have won a Super Bowl in his career, but he kind of got screwed by just being a part of a bad organization. No offense.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
But now he's slowing down, and it's actually a very similar situation to the Giants, except Phillip Rivers is and always has been a better quarterback than Eli Manning.
JaVale McGee with this fucking sky hook. Yeah, that was crazy. Sorry, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. But I'll just repeat that again.
Yeah.
Phillip Rivers is and always has been a better quarterback than Eli Manning.
One more time.
Phillip Rivers is and always has been a better quarterback than Eli Manning.
Yes, sir.
But this is something. It wasn't unforeseeable. Like, he's old. We kind of saw it towards the end of last season where, he definitely wasn't as good in the playoffs as he was, early in the season. He is just, he's done. That's all it is. And
Yeah.
I agree with, I didn't think of Richard's point before I started, thankfully he said that before I started doing my whole spiel. If they can bring him back on, some deal and draft a quarterback and, groom a quarterback to, then, that's the best case situation.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's not his last, maybe it shouldn't be his last season in a Chargers uniform, but Phillip Rivers is done.
Yes, and That's the thing. I agree with you. They're never Phillip Rivers. They're not winning a Super Bowl with Phillip Rivers.
No.
It's not happening.
He's not winning a Super
But-
Bowl.
Yes, he will never win a Super Bowl. It's terrible. It breaks my heart, but it's true. But what I'm saying is, in terms of what's best for the Chargers organization,
Bring him back.
bring him back. Whatever happens, if you can get, because they're gonna pick like between the 8th pick and like the 14th pick, maybe somewhere in that range.
And you see someone you like, you go up and get him. Like,
Listen,
you
if
see leverage.
if Tua is gonna fall a little bit, I would take Tua. You can have Phillip Rivers.
Absolutely.
You don't have to rush him at all. Tua can take a full year off, rehab, get healthy, whatever. Just him and Phillip, they'll talk. He'll mentor him.
I can only.
Bring Tua-
Sorry to interrupt you, but I can only imagine that Rivers will be an amazing mentor for whoever's
Hell
coming
yeah.
in next.
Hell yeah, he's a great person. He's like the nicest guy in the world.
Super competitive,
He wants what's best for the Chargers
yeah,
too. For
absolutely,
sure.
absolutely.
So you bring him back on a year contract with an option or 2 years, whatever. If you can draft a quarterback, great. Let him learn under Rivers, whatever it is. You just start looking towards the future. But I don't see any option where you're going into next season with Tyrod Taylor as the starting quarterback or whoever you draft starting him from day one. You have to put a quarterback on the field, and just let Phillip, if you can build the offensive line, if you can make it at least a little competitive, give him 4 or 5 games to see if he can do anything. If not, then fucking give up and then whatever.
Yeah, man. I mean,
And it's not
Maybe
like they have many fans to appease.
maybe a new O-line can get the last juice out of him because it seems like he's needed a new O-line for the past 5, 6,
Career.
7, 10 years. It's ridiculous. We can go all day about the O-lines in the league, but
So I think we all shred this.
yeah, that's two stamp shreds in a row where we swept all the same opinion. No, I'm not giving it back.
Yeah,
And the
logical.
last thing I'll say, too, is if you don't draft a quarterback this season in the first round, the team itself, like the way that the rest of the roster is built, they're not going to be a team that if you start Tyrod Taylor next year because he's their backup, or if you sign some fucking scrub like Mariota, like some bad quarterback, like a bridge quarterback, the rest of the roster is good enough where they're not going to be able to be 3-13 or 4-12 and get a guy like Trevor Lawrence, which that won't happen. So I would take a quarterback this season, Jake Fromm, Tua, Herbert, whoever's there, and just make that the future. Just go with a quarterback. Pick one and do it. Whatever.
I'm really curious to see what goes on with the Trevor Lawrence draft, because he's going 1 no matter what, and the question is just who is picking 1. Like if it's the Jets picking 1, they're not. I guess it depends how
I
it
think if
goes.
the Jets were to pick one, either Sam Darnold would have to be out for the year, or he'd have to be incredibly bad.
Yeah. So if
I don't
he's
think
incredibly
I
bad,
don't think
then
he's going to be incredibly bad. But
anybody who's
Darnold.
on the board,
saying if the Jets were
whatever
to pick one,
whatever it
Trevor Lawrence
is,
this year.
whatever it is, whoever has the number 1 overall pick, just by way of who has the worst record in the league, is gonna to let go of that is gonna need a king's ransom. So that's gonna be interesting to see. It's too
Gotta
early to tell.
assume, but there are a lot of quarterbacks in this draft with Tua and Fromm, Herbert, Burrow, and every quarterback needy team is gonna get one. So
Someone's gonna need a quarterback.
I think Trevor Lawrence is gonna be a Buccaneer.
Possible.
Stamp it.
Is that why Bruce Arians took the job?
Get Jameis out of there.
Jameis sucks, by the way.
Yeah, he sucks. Don't get anyone for next year. Just suck, and then get Trevor Lawrence. Interesting. Could happen. But
So they're just gonna keep
Last
running
damn shit.
Winston out there. I can't watch
They
him
can't.
anymore. I can't.
he is, I don't even want to
He's
talk
so
about his
bad.
stats. That's it. That's all you wrote for it. All right, stamp shred. Okay, This is the dumbest thing that's about to ever come out of my mouth. I can't believe I'm about to read this.
I
Stamp
stamped that.
shred. The last one?
Well,
Or the one coming
that
up?
wasn't the stamp shred?
What? Stamp
make
or
sense.
shred? The Browns are back. Shred because they never were anywhere to come back to. So what do you mean the Browns are back?
Yeah.
The Browns are
It's
back to
it's
4
a
and
weird
6.
way to put it.
Yeah, but
Browns are back, baby. Stamp that. I'm stamping it right on the dotted line. Listen, the Browns are back, as in what this means is that the hype train is back, because no hype train was higher than Cleveland coming into this year. We can all agree on that. They were the team of destiny. They were the AFC North champions.
For idiots,
No team wanted
yeah.
to face them. You said they'd win the AFC North. I totally remember you saying
Okay. I definitely said that.
that. So you're an idiot.
You said team of destiny.
No,
I hated Baker Mayfield before anyone
I
hated
said-
Baker Mayfield.
That is true, but I said they were going to win the AFC North, and then you said to idiots.
No, you said they were the team of destiny.
Whatever. Same thing. The point
No.
is, Cleveland is back.
The winner
They've
of the
beat
AFC
two
North
great teams.
with the fucking best team in the league, Baltimore Ravens. It's just
They
not
are the
going to
best
happen.
Guess who beat the best team in the league?
Weird game.
The Cleveland Browns.
Who's what team is gonna watch the film for that game and say what did the Browns do right? They're the only team to just, and they didn't even. It wasn't even a close game. Demolished them.
they just had a bad game, the Ravens.
They just had a bad game.
That's what it looked like.
The way people talk about Lamar Jackson, he can't have bad games.
Well, you had one. Everyone else who thinks that is an idiot. But I'm shredding it just because of the way it was worded, because they're not back, because they were never anything, and they're still not anything. 4 and 6.
But I
They
do
need to
think
do
they have a
something.
shot at the playoffs.
That should. I thought that's what it was going to be. Are the Browns back in the playoff mix? And then I look at the phone. It's the Browns are back. So
Did it have an exclamation point?
yeah, and it had a nude.
The Browns are back. Look, the rest of their schedule, they're just coming off. They beat 2 playoff teams, 2 games in a row. Now they go
Dude,
against Miami.
Don't fucking lie to our audience.
Did the Steelers make the playoffs last year?
The Steelers suck.
They
The
didn't.
Steelers suck.
They didn't make the playoffs last year.
Okay, so they didn't make the playoffs. So
They
first
don't-
of all, lie. Second of
Don't
all,
suck.
they suck.
Mason Rudolph sucks.
Cleveland's back. Look, this is what you got. You got a team who has all the talent in the world.
People forgot about them.
Correct. They're 2 and 6. They beat Buffalo.
No, I think they have.
Good team. They beat Steelers,
Who's a good team?
who had won 4 games in a row. Now you go against Miami, red hot. They won 2 straight. Oh,
No,
they
they
lost. They lost on Sunday.
They're also now out of one of the best pass rushers in the league, so I'm sure that'll be a little dent in their run to destiny through the Bills and
Well,
Steelers.
they're not gonna lose to the
Dent in
Dolphins.
Mason Rudolph's head.
They're
too.
not gonna. They're
Addition by
They're just
subtraction.
not gonna lose to the Dolphins. They just lost a special player, Teddy Walton. He apparently struck his 5-month pregnant girlfriend.
Ooh.
We might want to cut this. But
It's Mark Walton.
Teddy Walton.
Teddy Walton. Where'd Teddy come from? So you got
Anyway,
no, okay, so they will beat
I think the.
Miami.
All right. This is.
Then
We
they
talked
play
about this in
Pittsburgh,
pre-production.
Arizona.
The Browns have a shot at the playoffs, and they will keep it going until they play the Cardinals. The Cardinals are going to beat them. Cardinals are a better team than the Browns.
Better coached.
Better coached, better, more disciplined. Kyler Murray has a lot less interceptions this season than Baker Mayfield. As a rookie who was thinking about playing shortstop for a little bit. And yeah, stamp that.
Sam Darnold's better than Baker
Stamp
Mayfield.
that. The Cardinals are going to eliminate the Browns from playoff contention.
Won't be hard when they're 4-8 by the time they play them.
Stamp it.
Yeah. I don't know when they play them. I don't know if it's in 3 weeks from now. But
Stamp it.
no. You're so stamp the Cardinals will beat the Browns.
I'm stamping
No, he's-
the Cardinals will eliminate the Browns from playoff contention.
I like it. I like Kyler Murray. Calamari. He to me. But yeah.
But I think they have a shot at playoff contention.
Browns
But I'm
still
not
have
going
a
to play
shitty
both sides of
O-line.
the fence, so shred.
Shitty O-line, bad head coach. It's recipe for disaster.
And a fucking QB
And they
with
just
an
lost
attitude.
their best defensive player, and they're clearly not disciplined because their best defensive player is swinging helmets at people.
That's
and
boss. First
Two
of all.
guys, someone's making someone's ear bleed, and 2 helmet-to-helmet hits, ejections all over the place. It's not pretty over there. But they beat the Steelers with Mason Dumbhead, so I guess we can count on.
Oh,
them.
yeah. I'm going to work in my own stamp or shred. The Steelers suck. Stamp.
That's your second ad-lib stamp shred. You couldn't come up with these in pre-production. We took an hour.
You
to
would have
figure out
never
the third
agreed
one.
to it.
What? That the Steelers
Yeah.
suck? That's going
It's
to
a
be the
bad
segment.
idea for a segment. But
Okay.
I just want to throw it out there that they suck.
We're going to move on to the scrap heap here, and Matt and Alex are about to find out what my scrap heap for the episode is, and I'm going to go ahead, and I think this is the second time this has happened on the show. I'm going to go ahead and scrap myself for
Oh,
disrespecting the Lord and Savior, Jamal Adams. He proved the past 2 weeks that he is, in fact, my father, and, in fact, the best safety in the NFL. He had 2 sacks a week ago, was AFC Defensive Player of the Week, and then this week comes out and he gets 3 sacks, and he's 2 sacks away from tying the record for sacks by a defensive back, which is 8. He has 6 with 6 games left, and they play the Bengals, they play Miami, and while the Raiders are solid, I think he could maybe get in the backfield against
Good
them.
O-line they have.
So he definitely has a chance to at least tie it, maybe break it, and he could maybe be the first defensive back to get double-digit sacks, which would be cool. But, yeah, I'm going to go scrap myself. Jabal, I'd like to send a personal apology to you, and I will never disrespect you again.
They
And
might
I
come
love you.
sack you.
And if you saw the video of me one day and didn't want me to be a fan of yours, I completely understand. And you're my dad. So
Wow.
I scrap myself.
Talking about a
Listen.
complete surrender.
I think it's a little faulty though. You didn't scrap him for his play on the field. He deserved to be scrapped for his attitude.
But if he's going to be valuable to the team like he was, and he compared himself to Tom Brady and
Oh, so now he's Tom Brady.
no, but he's playing great. He's been one of the most valuable
He's
defensive players in the league in the
not
past
as
2 weeks.
impactful as Tom Brady and Aaron Donald still, but if he plays the way he's been playing for the past 2 weeks and continues it, a player like that can change a whole game on his own. He's,
Honestly, sorry to cut you off, but
well, that's not okay. No, I'm kidding.
But I think he probably felt the backlash because a lot of people were talking out against him, and he used it as motivation to play better. And I mean, I'm pretty sure after when he was making those comments, he had a pretty bad game against someone.
Miami was the team that was
Maybe
before
Jacksonville.
though. The deadline week was Miami, I think.
But hey, if this is gonna be motivation for him to play better, then by all means, good, prove people wrong.
No, he's definitely amazing. He's the best, one of 2 best safeties in the NFL.
That's hey,
but it is what it is.
That's nice to hear for a Jet fan.
No, it's for sure. But the thing is, you just got to worry about if he wants to play for the Jets, and that's what the whole scrap was about. That with the trade deadline, saying how he hates losing and all of this, rumors were swirling that he was like okaying a trade to Dallas, and then he got super offended that they didn't trade him. Whatever it is, like the whole issue with him was never about his play on the field. He's a great safety.
I don't know what they're talking about. I think everything Jamal Adams has done in his career is absolutely fine. So that was a scrap heap. I'm a disrespectful sinner.
That's funny.
And I'm done.
Okay, so there's one scrap. I'll go next. I'll throw my scrap out there. It's gonna be somebody who shares the same first name as me, and I'm embarrassed to say that.
Matt Gay.
It's Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy, the head coach of the Chicago Bears. I think, and I asked this before, I'm not sure if I had scrapped him a couple weeks ago.
I think you've scrapped him a few times.
I think I did when he did the whole shit with he didn't run the ball against the Chargers and he took the long field goal and then they missed it. I might have scrapped him there, so I'm going to scrap him again. The opposite of what Richard is doing, apologizing for a scrap. I'm going to double down on this scrap because he made an even bigger mistake, and he's getting even worse as a head coach. We talked about this guy. He was the coach of the year last year. Why? I don't know. It's going to go down as one of the worst coach of the year winners of all time because after this season, he's going to be fired. He's going to go back to being an offensive coordinator. Probably will never have the same success again. And the reason is because he's a terrible fucking coach. He goes, okay, they played the Rams on Sunday night. He decides to kick a long field goal. It was like 47 yards or something. They missed the field goal. Okay, it was like 4th and 1 or something like that. They missed the field goal. Then they go back down into the same kind of situation, 4th and 9. Within field goal range. It would have been a deep field goal, but he obviously didn't have faith in his kicker because they missed the first time. So he goes for it on 4th and 9. Doesn't get it. So if you're that kicker right now, what are you thinking? Like, oh, this guy, he hates me. He's got no confidence in me at all. Right? You go for it on 4th and 9. Like, I can't hit a 50-yarder, whatever. So he's done. You kill the confidence in your kicker, and then, again it happens, third time around, 4th and whatever it was 4th down, they decide to kick it. They're going to kick another field goal. So now you're the kicker going back out there thinking to yourself, I mean, I fucked up the first time. Why? Like, I'm not going to hit this. I'm not going to be able to hit this one here. Maybe he's not thinking that, but at the same time, like, you have your coach who doesn't fucking trust you clearly. He misses again. That's not how you inspire your fucking players to do well. Okay, so he misses 2 field goals, and that's not even getting to the worst part about Matt Nagy's night when he benches Mitch Trubisky at the worst possible time. They're down by 10 with 2 minutes left. Yeah, Trubisky's not going to win the game. Chase Daniel is not going to win the game. Why are you benching your franchise, quote-unquote franchise quarterback in that moment? Nothing good is going to come out of it. It's a Sunday night game. The entire rest of the week, you know you're going to be dealing with, oh, this is it. Trubisky's done. They benched Trubisky now. 2 minutes left. What happened? He's over. And now you just have to answer to that all week. Just let Trubisky go out there. Deal with it in the rest of the week. If you want to bench him, you don't want to start him next week, whatever. But you're not accomplishing anything by benching him with 2 minutes left. I bet you he starts next week. Trubisky's going to be the starting quarterback, right? Like, they're not going to start Chase Daniel.
They
so you
should, but
you create a shitstorm for your team, kill your quarterback, the kicker is dead, you have no confidence in anybody, you're grasping at straws, and he's doing all of this because he's trying to save his job because he knows that he's fucked more than anybody else is fucked. Because if he can't win with Trubisky, he can't win with Chase Daniel, whoever you're putting out there, he's trying to say, look, it's not me, it's Mitch Trubisky. He's the one that's the problem. When in reality, it's you, Matt Nagy. It's you. You called fucking terrible plays. 3rd and 1, you're running fucking end arounds to David Montgomery, who is hurt in the game. He's injured. He's not 100%. You just are putting your team in a position to lose week in and week out, making bad decisions, and then fucking having an attitude about it in the postgame. So I think Matt Nagy is one of the worst coaches in the NFL who fell into an amazing defense last year and an easy schedule because the Bears were bad the year before. And he's paying for it right now. And I just don't see how he gets out from this. I think, fuck you, Matt Nagy. You're done. You suck. And that's my scrap, and I feel good about it.
Excellent scrap until you said the Bears had an easy schedule because they were bad the year before, when you've always been a guy who says it doesn't matter what place you came in. You play one team who was a last player, two teams in last place.
Yeah,
whatever.
I want you to go back on that right now.
They played a last place schedule. What? When did I say that?
All of a sudden.
You play the worst teams in the NFC, the two worst teams in each division.
You have gone against this exact argument multiple times.
When?
You're like, oh, yeah, you play a few last place teams, but like whatever, you play another full division and this full division, and then you play your.
I know how the schedule works, but it's still a last place schedule.
All right, so
When have I
you're
said
go-
this?
All right.
Now you think the last place
Brain
schedule
fried.
is easier?
I don't
We'll-
remember ever saying that it wasn't.
We'll pull up the footage. We'll put up the footage.
They had an easy schedule. They went 12-4, and they had an easy schedule, and he wins Coach of the Year.
They had an easy schedule because they were in last place the year before.
Right.
But I'm just going to tell you, because you clearly don't remember.
I don't remember this at all.
You have gone against that argument that teams that come in last place have an easier schedule because they play two other last place teams. It's just
I don't remember that happening.
All right, we'll work it into the ad.
We'll let Alex get into his scrap now, but now you were scrapped again.
Listen, Matt Nagy
I
is
agree
a
with
bad
you.
coach.
I agree with you, but you're just going back on.
Trubisky was not the problem in that game. He didn't have a good game, but he has had worse games. He was
100%.
he was not the problem in that game. To bench him like that with 2 minutes left when you're down by 10, when there's no possible scenario when you win the game, you're scapegoating Trubisky and just putting all the blame on him. It's terrible. It's terrible.
I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. I'm not going to put the focus on your inconsistency. We're not gonna focus on that. I agree with you.
Pillar of consistency.
No, I agree with you. Honestly, I think it was one of Trubisky's better games. So, like, whatever.
Your turn.
He still sucks. He's whatever. Tricky situation over there.
Now we know why Alex sounded so far away, because he talks like this.
My scrap heap is, I know a lot of people might be against this one, but my scrap heap is Mason Rudolph.
Ah,
Look, let's work backwards here. Mason Rudolph. Let's take it from the standpoint of him post game, right? Complaining about Myles Garrett smashing him in the head with a helmet.
Bush League.
Bush League.
That's what he said.
He said it's Bush League. It's not really any league.
It's not what you call that.
Yeah.
That's what he said, though.
Okay. So
You need some time.
yeah. So
Bush League is like when you like fucking walk over the mound in baseball.
yeah,
Like
Bush
something
League is
just,
when you
like,
when you don't
unprofessional.
follow some unwritten rule.
Yeah, it's just not Bush League.
Obviously,
This is just
obviously. Okay,
dirty.
let's settle this first. It's not okay what Myles Garrett did. Let's just settle that. What Myles Garrett did was not okay. You smash somebody's own helmet over his own head. That's just not okay, and you should be punished for it. And I think the indefinite suspension, the rest of the season, that is That's fine. But let's talk about Mason Rudolph. Let's talk about the role Mason Rudolph played in this.
You mean future Steelers franchise quarterback Mason Rudolph?
God forbid. God forbid. Because he had a terrible game. We were recording last week's episode while we were watching that game. I know Matt has been big on the Steelers. Mike Tomlin, Coach of the Year. I know Matt is kind of big on Mason Rudolph.
I'm out.
Yeah. Okay, he's out now. But
So do you have anything to say about Mason Rudolph?
yes, I'm getting to it. I'm just trying to structure this the right way.
Okay.
So, Myles Garrett, there's 22 seconds left in the game, and Myles Garrett goes and absolutely takes down Mason Rudolph. It was roughing the passer. Lays his body on top of him for a second. You know, Myles Garrett is known as a dirty player, but this play is not at all out of his realm of things he's done. So Mason Rudolph throws a pick, obviously, because he threw 4 of them, and there's a high percent chance that he threw a pick on that play because he sucks. And Myles Garrett brings him to the ground, lays on top of him. I actually think he completed the pass. But Mason Rudolph takes it upon himself because he's very frustrated to grab Myles Garrett's helmet. Just pull on it for a little bit. Myles Garrett, by the way, if anybody doesn't know who Myles Garrett is, one of the best defensive players in the league. Definitely an enormous, scary man. Mason Rudolph takes it upon himself to grab his helmet. And I'm assuming that most of our listeners have been in some sort of scrap. I'm definitely not a fighter myself,
We
but
have some scrappy listeners.
we have some scrappy listeners, right?
They get it done.
If I'm just putting myself in the position of Mason Rudolph, if I'm in a bar and somebody does something that's maybe not exactly what I want, but it happens pretty frequently. And I decide, I'm in a bar and I decide to just give a little tap to somebody's face at the bar. I just I go up to this guy that I don't really like that much, and I'm just this. I just give him a little slap. Should I just expect a little slap back? No, I should expect to be rocked in that face.
The helmet to
I think you should expect some sort of escalation of the issue. So that's what happened. Mason Rudolph, what Myles Garrett did was wrong, but it's something that we see in every single NFL game, roughing the passer. Every single one, we see one of these.
You don't do that to the stars in this league.
All right, I'm not done. So Mason Rudolph retaliates because he's frustrated that he is playing terribly. That is why, and his team is losing. That's why he did it. So Mason Rudolph escalates the situation, and then Myles Garrett takes it to a whole nother level. Takes off Mason Rudolph's helmet, slaps him in the head with it. Completely out of line, and Myles Garrett's suspension is completely fine. Rest of the season, that's fine. It is what it is. But what is Mason Rudolph thinking here? To tug on the helmet of a behemoth. It's like fucking going up to the dragon and tugging on its tail. What do you think is going to happen? These are people that are trained to, Myles Garrett's one job is to come and demolish you. And he did that. I just think I'm scrapping Mason Rudolph here because what was he expecting? Was he expecting Myles Garrett to just be like, "Nah, you're chilling, buddy"? No.
They were in a fight. They were in a brawl, the two of them, head to head.
Yeah.
And Mason Rudolph did not back down against this dragon behemoth beast that you're talking about.
Then
he fucking was being attacked. He got dropped to the floor. He was being laid on top of. There's 8 seconds left in the game. The game is over. Myles Garrett is way out of line. If you're Mason Rudolph, dude, you're gonna fucking grab whatever you can to defend yourself. His face mask was right in front of his face. He's grabbing at his head, saying, "Get the fuck off me."
Then Mason Rudolph escalated the situation, and he should be held accountable.
Well, roughing the passer obviously happens every single week, but like you're not supposed to do it. So it's like,
But it's
just like, oh,
but it doesn't. But
like, he didn't.
But it doesn't matter because what Myles Garrett did in that situation was roughing the passer and nothing more. It was roughing the passer, and it's on the referees to throw a flag and penalize Myles Garrett for roughing the passer. It is not on Mason Rudolph to take it upon himself to retaliate. Once you retaliate, you're in the wrong. So why is Mason Rudolph getting away with escalating the situation? Why?
I don't know.
He was defending himself.
But when you get fucking pummeled on a play and it's an illegal hit, if you retaliate, you get penalized.
Those are like accidental situations, like roughing the passer when the quarterback, he throws the ball and the guy just like finishes the tackle. That's one thing. It's roughing the passer, or like he scruffs his helmet. It's helmet to helmet, but it wasn't with intention of being dirty. Myles Garrett, 8 seconds left in the game. They won. He's just diving on top of him and staying there, and just like I'm sure he's talking shit. He's just like on top of him.
I'm not saying what Myles Garrett did was completely wrong, but Mason Rudolph, if you're gonna take it upon yourself to grab the helmet of this guy, expect retaliation. You're stupid for not expecting that kind of like.
He was expecting it, and he was ready to go toe to toe with him in a fair fist fight.
And then
all of a sudden, this guy's throwing helmets around.
But then why after the game is he acting like a little bitch?
It's Bush League.
Bush League. Fucking. He asked for it. He asked to get some sort of retaliation. Maybe not to the extent.
Asking for a helmet to be smashed over his head.
That's not what I'm saying. And I'm saying
I'm
saying Myles Garrett deserves a suspension. But Mason Rudolph, like, what did you like? At the very least, Myles Garrett should have fucking punched this kid in the face.
That would have been okay.
All right, so he
also
was
got
like
stomped out by Mike Pouncey and whoever that other guy was.
So he was like, I'm gonna take this little bitch's helmet off his face and then smash him in the head with it because
he grabbed my face mask.
I don't think he was. I don't think he was thinking of it like that. But
all right, well, I see your point of view on the scrap. I just think you need a helmet to the head.
I don't think he needed a helmet to the head, but I just think Mason Rudolph, when you fuck with somebody like Myles Garrett, expect retaliation.
So thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Memo. This was more wild and out of pocket than we ever thought it would be. But I hope it was a good time. We had fun.
Don't wrap it up.
Tune in next week. Maybe Alex might be done peeing the next time we record. But until then, see you later.
Keep a lookout on our Instagram for our game predictions because
Why are you wrapping it up?
we got into some really heated debates here on our subjects, and we don't think the predictions need their own segment here. So we're gonna wrap it up for Alex and
Safety first.
We're
do the fucking prediction.
thanks. We'll see you next week.